everybody. I think that the audience can hear me pretty good. Yes, if I can get thumbs up over there. Yes, yes, on all the way in the back. Okay. It is just about to click over to 9:30. We are here for our regularly scheduled Commissioners Court meeting for Karnes County, Texas. It will be our last meeting of the calendar year. So I welcome you. It is wonderful to see constituents, taxpayers filling up the pews for our Commissioner Court meeting. So thank you for that. And it's, like I said, it's good to see y'all. We do have a quorum present. Commissioner Dupnick is still out. I talked to him day before yesterday and before that, so we'll continue to pray for him. But let's stand for our prayer and pledge and we'll get started, okay? Lord, we come before you now and we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for a year's end of blessings. I know that there's been struggles for some, just like all of us, we face in our daily lives, and we lean on you for that, Lord. Continue to pray for Commissioner Dupnick, Commissioner Rosales as they go through their health struggles, Lord. Lord, we ask that you just continue to bless us with rain whenever it's in your time, Lord, and we know that you will, and help us to make decisions that glorify you, Lord, not just in our lives, but in our work lives as well. We also ask, Lord, that you bless us. This is this Christmas season. Help us to remember what it's about, what Christmas is about, and that's your Son, our Lord and Savior. We ask this in your name, Lord. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, justice. Okay. Item number 5, citizens, do we have anybody signed up this morning, Ms. Sweezy? Okay, who's first on the list? All right, Judge Krzekwa, come on up.
Good morning. Well, it's December 21st, 2024, and honestly, 2025 can't get here fast enough. Sheriff-elect Bailey is requesting temporary overtime, and as a department head who works with the Sheriff's Office personnel regularly, he's gonna need it. I'm sure he's gonna explain in full detail, but I only get 3 minutes, so we'll leave that to him. He's gonna need to reestablish loyalty, dedication, and heart to that department, because it's dwindled down in numbers for several reasons. Sizable raises were handed out recently, but like I stood here months ago and predicted, it's not just the money. It's the administration that builds a working atmosphere that attracts and keeps dedicated employees, especially in law enforcement. I myself look forward to knowing the deputies by name once again, letting them stay here for more than just a few months and leaving, and for all agencies to work together and to back each other up. The resources for the requested overtime is within that budget. It's going to take time to train new personnel by the people that will stay. They're going to have to continue the everyday work, and some of them may need to work overtime to keep doing what needs to be done. I'm sincerely hoping for a smooth transition as possible on December 31st at midnight. The citizens of Karnes County deserve nothing better. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else this morning?
That's all, Judge.
That's it. Okay, then we're gonna move. Court, y'all have a problem with?
No. Well, first off, I'd like to thank Shelby Dupnick and current sheriff for serving the citizens of Karnes County, whether I agreed with them or not. Shelby did a real good job on the emergency management deal. I really appreciate that. Looking forward to what's happening starting on midnight. I appreciate the sheriff having done what he did while he was here and still here. I hope that there's a smooth transition on midnight going into the next year, because there's a lot of stuff that's been going on nationally that I just couldn't see happening. I just hope nothing happens like that here, because we're all supposed to take care of each other and not encumber each other. So again, I appreciate Shelby and the sheriff and those departments, and I'm looking forward to some changes. I appreciate y'all's time and letting me come up here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, item number 6 is to acknowledge and present the continuing education transcript for the reporting period of January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024 of hours received by Tammy Broadway, Karnes County Tax Assessor Collector. This is a requirement of this office, and it must be filed annually with the Commissioner's Court. Tammy?
Yes, this is just nothing but something that we have to do every year. It's in the code that we have to file it with the court, not with just the county clerk's office. For the year of January 1st, 24 to 12/31 of 24, I've got over the 20 hours that was required that I get. A lot of the extra hours I have is we're going to Web Dealer. I'm not going to get into that. That's not on the agenda. But I've got my report, my hours to turn in. The total number of hours that I had for this year was 101.25.
Thank you, Tammy. Any discussion from the court?
No, sir.
Okay, if not, we're going to move to item number 7, and we're going to acknowledge the annual tax report of taxes collected during the fiscal year 2023-2024 required by Tax Code Section 31.10B. Tammy?
Okay, I was re-looking at this morning, and I made 2 clerical errors, nothing with the numbers, it was just in the words only. I am going to read it to you. The mistakes were in the last paragraph only. The corrected one says, during the time frame of October the 1st, 2023 through September 30th of 2024, my office collected $21,934,462.88 in Karnes County M&O taxes, INS taxes, and the INS taxes was $1,060.17, and the road and bridge taxes that we collected was $3,543,778.04. A total of $25,479,301.09. In addition to that, my office collected $2,150 in tax certificate fees, $4,375 in beer license fees, $243.62 in copy fees, $426 in NSF fees, $15,421.52 in escrow, $3,448.87 in mobile home escrow, $13,792.82 in personal penalty fees, and $48,125.51 in VIT tax. The total amount of tax that my office collected was $25,567,284.43.
25 million, Tammy.
Oh, 25 million, sorry about that. $25,567,284.43. Less the attorney's fees that we collected for the county, the M&O, the INS, the road and bridge, all of that came to $36,448.93. That was paid for the county and the road and bridge. The final amount that my office collected for the county stuff was $25,530,835.50.
Very good. Any discussion, questions from the court on that?
No, sir.
Okay, if not, we're going to move to item number 8, acknowledgement that Constable Precinct 2 vehicle exchange with Constable Precinct 4 vehicle. Constable Hans.
Yes, sir. So I spoke with Constable Rios, and since he's going to be not the senior constable anymore and has the newest, lowest mile vehicles, he and I decided to exchange vehicles before the end of the year.
Thank you. Discussion from the court?
Sorry, I wrote something up, no, how you doing, sorry. I wrote something up yesterday regarding this agenda item, Judge, if I may.
Sure.
Go ahead. This is just an explanation of what the county, with the procedures and everything in the county. Good morning, folks. First, let me start by saying this is not personal. I'm gonna do my best to talk it all out. This is not something personal toward anyone or any department. This is my opinion based on my years of experience being part of the governing body of Karnes County. I spoke with TAC, Texas Association of County. That's where we get legal advice if we don't know exactly what's going on, or if we just want to back up what we believe, or however it goes. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't, but we get legal advice from them. I explained to them that the county court assigned 4 vehicles to the constables, but did not assign which vehicles went with which precincts. But when the constables picked and decided which vehicles went with which precinct, and the county paid to tag them precinct 1, precinct 2, precinct 3, precinct 4, it was $950, I believe, per vehicle. They became assigned to that precinct. So with that being said, the common practice to move or assign change of vehicles throughout departments should be an item placed on the county court agenda to be voted on. That definition, basically, I'll go ahead and let you know, is if it's road and bridge is one department. They can interchange any vehicles that we give them, the commissioner's court gives them. The sheriff's department the same way, because it's their department. But when it's department to department, and y'all are 4 different departments, common practice, it comes to commissioner's court, and commissioner's court makes a decision on them. Okay, these vehicles were assigned to the constables, and they chose their vehicles and were tagged. These vehicles belong to the precinct now and not the office holders. I believe, just as my opinion here, morally, we should give the new constable the choice if he wants to trade the vehicle or not. If we do this, we will be setting the precedents that I guarantee will come up in the future, and departments will be able to swap cars, furniture, computer, and who knows what else. I, Commissioner Precinct 3, would disagree with the acknowledgement presented and ask the constables 2 and 4 to bring it to the governing body to make that decision in the next commissioner's court in January 25. Decisions should be based on something acceptable. For example, I'm just gonna say precinct 4 was nothing but dirt roads, and you were nothing but paved roads, but you had a 4x4 vehicle, he had a two-wheel drive vehicle. That would be something that, okay, we could see the change. Or if a constable got hurt and was hurt from a limb and one vehicle was lower than the other. But, and I'm not saying it won't change, but I would appreciate it if it would come to the court and follow common practice.
If this is an issue, I mean, it's not a big deal, okay?
Yeah, I know.
If we want to drop this and not do it, I don't have a problem with that.
My only my recommendation is just bring it to the court and let the court decide on it. Just common practice like we've always done.
I mean, and I'd asked the auditor's office if there was anything that needed to be done, and they told me just an acknowledgement by the court. That's why I went the route that I did.
Oh, I apologize that,
And if that's not the correct way of doing things, my apologies, no big deal.
only my opinion, guys, just if it's brought to the court, it just would open up something to where every department could change out computers. They're gonna say, why not? You let one department do it or 2 departments do it. I'm just trying to cover the county on it.
That's fine.
So, but
I don't think that it would, you couldn't just change, I guess you could change out computers, but it would still be tagged through the auditor's office. You wouldn't just be, interchanging equipment and stuff through the department. This would still have to be amended in the auditor's office that VIN number 12345 is
I'm
assigned.
not trying to create a whole bunch of work here or anything like that, so
So you are just dropping it.
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
Thank you.
Very good?
Okay, item number 9, discuss, approve, disapprove, executing background investigation reports for Karnes County through Guardian. Constable Hahn talked to me about this. I have also talked to the sheriff about this, and incoming sheriff-elect about this, and Elaine and I talked about this as well. And Donald, do you want to talk about it? The Guardian? What I would like to see the county do is, and we talked about this morning, Sheriff-elect was in my office, Constable Hines, and a couple other gentlemen were in my office. I would like to see the county do something that's uniform, that if the sheriff's office needs to run background checks, HR needs to run background checks, Road and Bridge needs to run background checks for every employee that comes into the county. We need to know the type of folks that we're hiring to represent the taxpayers, right? And so Constable Hans brought this to me. We were having a potential issue with the sheriff-elect and being able to get some things done for a peaceful transition of power.
Yeah, this was to assist in streamlining, getting officers on the street after the transition, after the new sheriff takes office. He has since found another avenue that does not make this as critical right now. I think this could be a very useful tool because any department in the county could use it.
Absolutely.
You know, if y'all want to look into it some more or whatever, you know, before a decision is made, great, you know, because it's not as critical now
As it was.
as it was a week ago.
A week ago.
Right.
And Elaine, did you have a chance to look at it yesterday? Elaine Simmons is our HR, and Elaine and I were talking about this yesterday for, not specifically even about Guardian, but I said, Constable Hans is bringing this up, let's look at it. So I gave her a copy of it to look at too as well.
Yes, and what I was looking at, the fee structure is a little bit different than what we were discussing yesterday, and I'd like to sit with you and explain it better than what we were discussing yesterday. We thought it was going to be a blanket cost. It is a per-use cost.
Yes.
With the records retention to it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm good. If the court's good, having further discussion on this or a different company going forward, I'm good with that.
They'll take no action today.
We'll take
Ms. Simmons, I got a quick question. I know we talked about it briefly yesterday. Did you get a chance to see if that would do kind of the background check you were looking for specifically? Because I know it's different with the law enforcement versus, you know.
Right, these background checks, it looks like you can tailor it, ask for specific things. You don't have to go as extensive, so I think it would work.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Good. Yeah, we'll look into it a little bit more. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, item number 10 is going to be discuss, approve, disapprove, authorizing declaration of local state of disaster for Karnes County. The sheriff-elect approached me about this, a week and a half, couple of weeks ago. And so, Sheriff-elect Bailey, come on up.
Good morning. So I did a little research to help everybody with what we're asking. Little Operation Lone Star quick fact, the emergency declaration allows for the county sheriff to enter into an agreement with OLS Task Force Operations, which brings assistance with hands-on investigations into drug and human trafficking in our county, along with the ability to request monetary assistance, such as grant funding. I can go into more detail on how it started and a little background if you'd like.
Please.
Okay, Operation Lone Star, local counties joined the effort. This was sourced from the Central Square. 3 years ago, into Texas Border Security Mission, Operation Lone Star, a Texas sheriff is highlighting the successful efforts of his deputies.
Steve, closer to the mic so everybody can hear.
Of his deputies who have been involved in a multi-county operation committed to combating cartel-related crime. Retiring Jackson County Sheriff Kelly R. Janica was a founding member of Operation Lone Star Task Force headed up by Goliad Sheriff Roy Boyd. Janica, who came out of semi-retirement to fill an open sheriff's seat in December 2021, soon joined Boyd's OLS task force. The group includes law enforcement officers from roughly 30 agencies in nearly 20 counties dedicated to stopping cartel-related trafficking and smuggling operations. Quote, "We send these men and women into harm's way every day," Janica said in a video his office put together to educate county residents and Texans about the successes and dangerous work of the task force. The video depicts deputies involved in thwarting cartel-related criminal activity and engaging in high-speed car chases and bailouts. Wharton County Sheriff Shannon Scrubar and I are the last two links in the enforcement chain on US 59, Janica said. "We're committed to criminal law enforcement in our counties. We will not give the cartels a foothold. We will not allow them to use our county for stash houses and staging areas. We will not allow them free passage through our counties so they can prey upon other Texans." OLS task force members in Jackson and Wharton counties have been described as the linebackers, the last line of defense to stop cartel-linked smugglers before they reach Fort Bend and Harris counties to the north. Those counties are considered the end zone because law enforcement agencies there aren't participating with the OLS task force. OLS task force members have focused on combating traffickers of people, weapons, drugs, money, using stolen vehicles along highways 281, 77, and 59 going to and from Houston. Along the way, Janica's deputies have excelled at recovering stolen vehicles in the last year. They apprehended over 100, which for the small county was unprecedented. Quote, "All of the stolen vehicles being used are coming from out of Harris County," Janica told the Center Square. "Cartels are paying fugitives to drive them to the border to pick up illegal aliens and bring them back north to Houston. It's not just stolen cars they're catching. They're also stopping attempted smuggling events. One of Janica's first calls to the sheriff was finding a truck on Highway 59 that had roughly 70 to 80 people inside. This is his quote, "When we opened the back door, people fell out onto the ground," he said. "They were so dehydrated and couldn't even run away. If we hadn't opened the door, they would have been casualties," end quote. In addition to these types of stops, his deputies have been involved in dangerous high-speed car chases and bailouts in Jackson and other counties participating in OLS. This activity has become the norm all over South Texas, Janica said, with crime skyrocketing in 2021 and 2022. Governor Greg Abbott and his Texas legislature responded by surging resources and allocating funds, which helped them be as effective as they have been. Janica said, "With the commitment of like-minded, motivated sheriffs, this effort has paid off. They are still actively patrolling, but there are fewer apprehensions now." Boyd, Janica, and Scrubar are among more than 100 Texas sheriffs who support OLS. This was as of May 16, 2024, when this was written. For me personally, we are currently not part of OLS and are the proverbial hole in the fence. Smuggling routes include all of our state highways here in the county, which at one time or another, I personally have conducted successful interdictions as a state trooper in our county. According to OLS investigations into smuggling, it has been found that Karnes County is currently being utilized as a location to stash illegal aliens, conduct resupply for illicit transportation operations, and launder money from illegal activities.
And this will be specific to Karnes County, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Any discussion from the court?
I'll make the motion to approve item number 10 as presented.
Second it.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Anybody opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff-elect Bailey.
Thanks, sir.
I'll get this signed, and Carol, I'll get you copies, okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Item number 11, discuss, approve, disapprove temporarily amending the Karnes County pay policy effective January 1, 2025 to allow the sheriff's office to pay overtime instead of comp time. Commissioner Giesler.
So Sheriff Bailey, elect Sheriff-elect Bailey, approached me, and please go back up, with a request due to transition And he's concerned about having enough deputies and to cover the needs of the county. And approached me with this. He had a good reason, made valid sense, and so I'm gonna ask Sheriff to kind of expand on that a little bit and give him the opportunity to.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning again. Due to the current shortage and future loss of more deputies before I take office, it has become clear that a pending emergency is right around the corner. To maintain 24-hour protection to our county residents and to continue expected regular day-to-day functions such as servicing calls from the public, traffic safety, maintaining jail operations and security, court security, servicing the tax office, district and county clerk's office, just to name a few. Deputies may be required to work on their assigned days off until a sufficient number of qualified deputies can be hired. Commissioners Court had recently raised the pay for Karnes County deputies, but due to the cost of living, many deputies still work secondary jobs on their days off to make ends meet. Requiring the deputies to work on their days off would mean they would no longer be receiving the extra income they have come to rely on, therefore placing an undue financial burden on them. Therefore, I believe it is necessary to compensate those who are required to work on their days off or those who stay over working critical incidents. This change would also benefit the county in the future with grant-funded overtime projects, which would help keep more officers on the street versus having them work side jobs. Thank you for your time, attention to this matter.
And this is temporary. This
Yes.
isn't, this is gonna be a Band-Aid on something, on a problem that we're gonna have to fix. Sheriff-elect Bailey and I have talked extensively about this. He's got a very detailed form that's put together that will
Yes, sir.
keep very, very, very good record of why these men and women are receiving this temporary overtime and going forward until we're fully staffed. But yes, I think this is a very good tool.
Sorry, Judge. And the sheriff is also, Sheriff-elect's also offered to come to court and to address any overtime that does occur and have the reason and the documentation to back that up. So he's not, it's not an open check. It's not something that he gets free rein. It's going to be monitored, but it is temporary and it's a tool in order to support our sheriff's office and the transition thereof.
To add to that, the budget for 2024, 2025 does have the funds to compensate this because of the shortage of officers. So the money's in there to take care of that.
Not only shortage of officers, but
Yes.
some pay restructuring that's gonna be happening as well.
Yes.
Yes, sir, but to address your, I think your question was about where the overtime funds come from? Is that
Yes.
what the
No,
question?
what I was just trying to let the public know, we'll be okay. If we pass this, we're gonna be okay
Yes, sir.
with the income, because there's, within your own department, the budget is gonna cover itself, so there won't be an issue.
Yes, that is correct.
It's come out of the general fund or nothing
sir.
like that. I just wanted the public to know that everything's good.
Yes, sir.
Very good point. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, I move that we approve the temporary amending to the Karnes County pay policy effective January the 1st, 2025, to allow the sheriff's office to pay overtime instead of comp time.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Steve. Item number 12, discuss approve, disapprove requesting Sheriff Department audit for end of office term. Steve, you want to come back up? I don't know that it needs, unless the court has any questions for you. We need to request that the Sheriff's Department audit for the end of office term.
Yes, sir. So it was my understanding that that was happening as we speak.
It's being taken care of.
Yes, sir.
Tom, have y'all completed it?
So, good morning, Court. All right, so we always do end-of-term audits for any elected officials that have left or department heads, and this started back when I started. It's pretty standard in every auditor's office. I started with Brenda Janacek and Sean O'Brien, Fernando Martinez, who was a constable, Dennis Finner, Sarah Pettis, Mr. Chapman, who left this summer, and then Donald C. And those reports have been given, with the exception of Chapman's, to court every time. We're going to wait on Chapman's with all these other ones. We've already started this audit for the sheriff's department, because it's not a one-day audit. We started this first part of this month. We've been planning it out. It's on my whiteboard. Everybody can see the schedule there. That will be all wrapped up by the 30th. We got 95% done. We just got a few vehicles left. We got Fernando Rios done. We're waiting for him to call us back so we can audit his weapon. Commissioner Dupnick, we got to get the radio out of his truck. I talked to Shelby yesterday, and I sent an email to sheriff so they can get that coordinated. And I believe that is it. And when the reports are all finalized, they will go to court, and then any newly elected department head, whatever, we give them a list of what we audited so they can see this is what you're taking ownership of. So this is what is supposed to be there. So that's just standard procedure we did.
And that'll include like weapons,
The weapons and the bid, we didn't individually do any of the weapons. We did all the assets over $5,000 of certain small items. Because if another thing, Court, especially for Commissioner Geisler, he's new, we didn't have a fixed asset process in this county until I started here. We went through, and the sheriff's department book is about this big, and all the other departments. And we got that in our system now, where everything is tagged that's over $5,000 per outside auditors, and then other items are on a soft list.
so how are we gonna know about the weapons,
I mean,
ammo?
that's,
So,
we can do
Sheriff
whatever.
Villanueva, what's the process of, does that transfer like to, and I would imagine that weapons would, and does the ammunition, does that also transfer? Like the storage of all that stuff? Okay. And that goes over on the 1st or the 31st or midnight or whatever the date
And Judge,
is.
when the deputies come in with their vehicles and all that, we know what's on that person, and that's what we're writing down, and then also what, as far as in that vehicle as well.
But you don't have the list of that currently,
What, sir?
of the weapons and ammo that the sheriff's office?
No, not at all. With serial numbers, no, sir.
I think that the auditor should have that right now so he could complete his audit, so he knows what he has going, what sheriff-elect is gonna have. Is that something that
And
we
we
can
can
do?
request that from the current sheriff to get all
I
that.
think I think that should happen.
And I can make that happen, Judge.
Sheriff, would you give that to Tom? Okay, thank you, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion from the court? It's an action item.
It's
So
already taken care of.
Do we need to disapprove this, or just no action, or?
Just know
Y'all don't
that.
want to take any action on this?
Because it sounds like the audit's been done, Sheriff Bailey?
You're okay without taking action on this because it's already getting done? You're comfortable with that?
Right, so, I mean, every law enforcement agency, every sheriff's office should be tracking their weapons. They should be tracking their weapons, they should be tracking their body armor, any special equipment, night vision, helmets. They should track everything because it's public funds it was purchased with.
Yes, sir.
Whether the auditor needs a copy of that, may or may not, I don't know about that. But I do know if it was my office, there would be a list of every weapon that was purchased. So, and we need to know where it came from, how much it was purchased for, and then what we do with the disposition of it. If you sell it, it needs to be taken off inventory. So that way weapons don't come up missing, they don't come up stolen, they don't get sold on the side to somebody that doesn't need one. It's just accountability. So I'm hopeful that the Sheriff Villanueva has all that. How he wants to turn that over, if he wants to give it to the auditor, that's fine, I can pick it up from him. And we'll go from there. When I get in there, I will do another check of all the weapons and equipment, so I'll know what I do and don't have.
So you're okay, as long as you get the weapons, the list of weapons, you're okay not taking an action item on this?
Again, if it was my office, everything's going to be accounted for.
I think this needs action. This is critical.
Dwayne, you have a record of all that?
If, may I, Judge? I do understand that it needs to be an audit, but I believe that Orange County is already doing an audit on it as we speak right now. Now, only my opinion, it's once you see the audit's good, he gives you the audit, goes through what Sheriff Villanueva has and everything. If for one reason or another you're not comfortable with it or you see something off, you can always bring it back once you're sworn into Commissioners Court and then ask for an audit, but we will already have had their audit, which is the audit from Karnes County. The only other thing you can do is we would have to go to maybe an outside auditor because our Karnes County auditor's already doing that right now. So-
Right.
So I was just saying, I'm comfortable with the way it is right here because those are our auditors and I'm okay with our auditors right now.
Again, this is a Commissioner's Court call on this. I'm
Yes, sir.
not the sheriff yet, so I'm just telling you, with my office, everything will be accounted for, every weapon and who it's issued to and when it was returned, and if we need to dispose of it, how it got disposed of, because it's very important. If not, if something comes missing, if somebody gets hurt with that weapon, the county's liable for it. We don't need to be having body armor to the bad guys, because that's why you really need to track your equipment, where it's at, who it's issued to. If they leave the office, they need to turn it in. You need to have a checklist that they brought everything back that you issued to them. I'm not there, I don't know, but this is just how I would run my office.
Yes, sir.
And Tom, y'all don't have a list previous of the weapons? Like, y'all don't have a list of what was spent before? Okay, do y'all have a list? Right, but do y'all have a list of the items purchased of the weapons purchased? Okay.
No, did you say no weapons have been purchased since you've been the auditor here?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question, Judge.
Did you say that no weapons have been purchased since you've been the auditor here?
Since that's correct, only the constables, is what I believe. And we just did those this last year. I don't recall any weapons being purchased. And Sheriff, is that not correct? We have not purchased any weapons since I've been here. We did purchase, okay, I didn't recall. Okay. I knew we purchased the ones for the constables. Do you recall how many we purchased? Yeah, so we can go back and let court know.
Can you get a list of those? I mean.
Yes, sir, yeah, and I can
Okay,
email those to
but
you.
you won't have the ones
Those
previous
numbers on
that were
those, yeah.
purchased previously, other than the sheriff's list that he has. You won't have a list. So in order to do an audit, he'd have to use the sheriff's list to start
Yeah.
a basis to go forward with. So, okay, all right. Sorry, just making sure I understand it.
To do to help run your office, and because our job is to safeguard the assets of this county and all auditors, whole state. Once again, as I mentioned, we started from scratch. We had nothing when this 4 years ago. We had the program, but I took it upon myself to implement this fixed asset program countywide.
Okay, I guess the motion will die, or the item will die for lack of motion. Again, I want to be on record saying that I believe this should be an action item. Item number 13, discuss, approve, disapprove the ranking and recommendation of the selection committee for the construction manager at risk, CMAR, for the Karnes County EMS admin/training center project. Casey.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I got a couple items with you, but the first one as stated. So we went out for proposals for construction manager at risk. I believe we talked about that. last Commissioners Court meeting, or actually, the first one in December. We did receive two proposals back from both BLS Construction and Weaver and Jacobs Constructors. We had a committee composed of myself, my Assistant Chief Derek Lapp, Judge Hedke, Commissioner-elect Precinct 1, David Viatric, also as a member of the public, and then Brian Parker with RMA Architects. We reviewed both proposals in detail with the scoring sheet that was provided by RMA Architects. It would be the recommendation after a very robust discussion and a couple of days reviews other proposals to propose, or to recommend rather, Weaver and Jacobs Constructors out of Cuero as the construction manager at risk for the upcoming project for Karnes County EMS. And I'm happy to answer any questions specifically. You should have the scoring tabulation sheet in front of you. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. This is simply just a clarification. So this is simply just recommending to enter into contract negotiations with Weaver and Jacobs. So the proposed AIA agreement contract was in the request for proposals that was issued and previously reviewed. It will, again, if approved by the court, we will provide that copy back to Weaver and Jacobs for their legal review, and then any conversation between our county attorney's office and their legal team to finalize an approval of said contract. Of course, will come to court for that. But again, that we're simply just awarding the recommendation to enter into contract negotiation with Weaver and Jacobs if approved by the court today for the CMAR.
I'll make the motion to approve item number 13 as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Court.
Thank you, Casey. Item number 14, discuss, approve, disapprove resolution certifying that all remaining American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds have been committed for expenditure in accordance with federal rules and regulations. Our outside auditors were here this week, and I got to visit with them. Phil and I always get to have a nice visit, as well as with Tom and Casey. This just kind of got thrown in Casey's lap in the absence of Commissioner Dupnick. We had talked about things, and we thought that we had things pretty well buttoned down, but Phil just wanted us to be a little more specific on how these ARPA funds were going to be dedicated. So, Casey.
Correct. Thank you, Judge. So just a little bit of background. So back in 2021, the court was awarded roughly, and don't quote me exactly on numbers, but roughly $3.5 million of federal money through the American Rescue Plan Act, which was a portion of the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. A majority of those funds have already been expended over the years since they've been awarded through multiple qualifying projects. So fast forward, we have approximately $1.4 million left that has not been expended. Of those, the federal government says we have to obligate those funds by December 31st of 2024, or we have to remit those back to the federal government. We obviously don't want to do that. That's what we're here today, is to obligate the remainder of that funds to use it on applicable projects. So we have up until December 31 of 2026 to utilize those obligated funds. So in the current fiscal year budget, as you should recall, under Department, I believe, 795, all of those funds have been placed in the budget, but we need more of a firm resolution, which is what's in front of you today, to be able to provide to the federal government, if audited, to say these funds, we have met your recommendations to say we have obligated these funds to which, again, the statute or the rules have required. So in front of you, again, I handed out this morning a slightly amended copy of the resolution that was produced last night, been reviewed by Ms. Tapia, County Auditor, as well as Phil with Armstrong, Bond and Associates, our outside auditor. The only change was twofold. Number one, changing the word from committed to obligated. And I can read the specific legal terms as to why that was. Primarily, the federal government wants to see the word obligated in lieu of committed from a finance definition, or accounting definition rather. Secondly, there was a slight change to the dollar amounts as proposed down below. So I'll let Judge Hedke read the resolution, but I'll explain it prior to. As far as the dollar amounts towards the bottom, equaling the 1.428998 $1,064,000. So there's $6,311.78 that is already encumbered. We have a PO attached to that. That's for EMS equipment with Stryker Sales Corporation. There's $660,000 budgeted, and it will be obligated if approved for all-band radio equipment through Motorola Solutions and Advantage Communications. That would be for the incoming Sheriff's Department and Constable's Office to upgrade their radio equipment. As y'all are familiar, the next item is emergency generators. So Commissioner Dupnick, prior to his medical absence, was working hard on trying to get generators at the Road and Bridge office, the tax office here, or excuse me, the annex behind me, at 210 West Calvert, as well as the Fall City Fire Station, which houses our operations there. It's for Station 3, as well as a transfer switch at 200 East Calvert, and I believe there was a portable generator in that as well, for a total of $455,000 through Fred Clark Electrical Contractor. There was a slight change to this dollar amount. So previously there was about $320,000 that was remaining for Emergency Operations Center equipment. After a conversation with Phil and Tom yesterday, we have since, we're recommending an obligation of $275,000 to an ambulance remount. So anticipating going into next fiscal year, our department would be requesting an ambulance remount as we do almost every year. So in lieu of spending general fund tax dollars, we have Federal American Rescue Plan dollars to do that with. So it'd be, again, a recommendation to obligate $275,000. That'd be threefold: Fraser Limited out of Houston, Texas, which is our ambulance manufacturer; Alexander Ford for the chassis; and Motorola Solutions for the radio. And then last but not least, the Emergency Operations Center equipment for $32,686.86. That would be for EOC equipment to be placed into, hopefully, the previous agenda item for our new training center administration office, which will house an emergency operations center in it. So I'm happy to answer any questions prior to reading of the resolution. But I believe, talking again with Phil and Tom and Jennifer all last night via email and even in person with Phil and Tom, everybody is satisfied with the wording, meeting the federal regulations and requirements for that. And so again, we have 2 years to spend this. We just have to, again, obligate these funds no later than December 31 of this year.
Yeah. And we'll take action on this before I read. We need to act on it before I enter into or read the.
Tom or Jennifer, anything to add? I'm sorry. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 14 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. I'll read the resolution after we vote. Are all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Anybody opposed to it? Motion carries. The resolution obligating remaining ARPA fund balance, whereas Karnes County, Texas, as part of the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, of 2021 was a recipient of Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, SLFRF. And whereas Karnes County Commissioners Court is the highest level of decision-making authority and has the authority to commit, assign, obligate, or evaluate fund balance classifications and identify the intended uses of committed or obligated funds. And whereas in accordance with rules and regulations set forth by the U.S. Department of Treasury, the remaining balance of unspent funds must be obligated by no later than December 31st, 2024. And whereas all committed funds must be spent by recipients no later than December 31st, 2026. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Commissioners Court of Karnes County, Texas, in accordance with the provisions of the American Rescue Plan Act, hereby obligate the full remaining fund balance of $1,428,998.64 to be used on applicable projects as follows: EMS equipment through Stryker Sales Corp. With the PO number 540000612 for $6,311.78. All band radio equipment, Motorola Solutions at Advantage Communications in the amount of $660,000. Emergency generators through Fred Clark Electrical Contractor in the amount of $455,000. EMS ambulance remount with Fraser, Alexander Ford, and Motorola Solutions in the amount of $275,000. Emergency Ops Center equipment, and the vendors, as Casey said, are to be determined in the amount of $32,686.86 for a total of $1,428,998.64, $1,428,998.64.
There's a page 2, Judge.
The funds so obligated cannot be used for any other purpose other than directed above unless the Commissioners Court adopts another resolution to remove or change the constraint passed and adopted on the 20th day of December 2024 by the Karnes County Commissioners Court. And I'll get signatures for y'all, and then Carol can attest it. While they're signing, item number 15 is to discuss, approve, disapprove the CY 2025 fee schedule for Karnes County EMS. Casey?
Last one, thank you for your patience. So this is a annual housekeeping item for the EMS department in regards to our calendar year fee for transport fee schedule. So every year we have our health claim, our billing company, our third-party billing company, Health Claims Plus, do market research and analysis and provide recommendations to us related to changes, if any, to our fee structure. So it should be in your packet as a summary as to what their recommendations were. Simply put, would be a slight increase, and I'll go through them individually here in just a second. One thing to note, as you can recall, the last 2 years when we talked about this, so there's been a lot of legislation, positive legislation in Texas specifically, related to ground ambulance transport. Senator Zaffarini had altered the bill back at the last session that, if passed as originally written, would have, pardon me, but killed the ground ambulance service in the state of Texas. It would have eliminated our ability to balance bill patients. Fortunately, working with her office and Texas EMS Alliance and the health plans, there was collaborative legislation amendments that were passed to probably push one of the biggest wins for ground ambulance transport and the patients in the country, and hopefully it's going to be used as a model going forward into Congress. We're hoping to re-up that legislation because it's actually going to end in January. So we're hoping to re-up that this coming session, and she's working with us again on that. So really why I said that is the legislation for Texas specifically said that ground ambulance transport billed to commercial payers, granted they're only state regulated plans right now, those payers shall pay what the local municipality, i.e. Commissioners Court in our case, sets as the fee for service transport, or 325% of Medicare, the lesser of the two. So the goal is to get towards the 325% of Medicare, but the goal is to also be mindful of that and not just be grabbing and putting the burden on somebody unnecessarily. So all that to say, the recommendations of Health Claims Plus is to increase the rate slightly based upon their market research, and of the 325% goal, we're, I believe, at 218% of Medicare. So what you'll see at the very bottom is our individual payer codes. So you have BLS non-emergency, BLS emergency, BLS standing for basic life support, and then ALS 1 non-emergency, and then ALS 1 emergency, ALS 2 specialty care transport, and then loaded mile, mileage rate per loaded mile. The next column would be the Medicare allowance, followed by the ambulance inflation factor, which is 2.4%, which is what Medicare sets every single year. It had a slight decrease. I believe it was 2.8 last year to 2.4%. So the green box highlights our current rate structure. And then on the far right of that is our suggested fee per Health Claims Plus. So I'll go through that list individually just to read into the record, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. So BLS non-emergency, suggested fee of $731.65. BLS emergency fee is $1,170.64. ALS 1 non-emergency, $877.97. ALS 1 emergency, $1,390.12. ALS level 2, $2,012.02. Specialty care transport, $2,377.86. And mileage per loaded mile, $29.93. One thing to also note, there's been, again, some huge wins on all fronts for ground ambulance reimbursement. It's still broken, but we're getting better. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid actually updated, or going to update, their physician's fee schedule to actually include whole blood transfusion and to include packed red blood cells, plasma, et cetera, into ALS2 intervention. So previously, I believe it's been mentioned in court, we do not directly bill for our whole blood. It's just we eat that cost. roughly about $500 per unit of blood. So we now have a billing mechanism to indirectly recoup those costs under the ALS2 intervention coding, so that's pretty exciting. But I'm happy to answer any questions related to the proposed fees. I completely agree with Health Claims Plus on their recommendations, so I would request the court to approve them as presented.
And it's a great thing, Casey caught that and got in front of Senator Zaffarini along with some of his colleagues throughout the state. And that was a major, major catch. So thank you,
Absolutely.
Casey. That could have been disastrous, so.
So on the allowance, that's what we said Medicare's allowing?
Correct. That's what Medicare, for Centers for Medicare and Medicaid is their allowance fee for that billing code. So if you, like, again, if we bill $731.65 for the BLS non-emergency, Medicare says their allowance would be $330.79. And then you take the AIF or ambulance inflation factor and put that into it. So it'd be $338.73. So there is your loss right there. And so why it's above that is because generally the commercial payers and private payers, workers' comp, et cetera, pay above the Medicare allowable rate, which is a $338.73. So like whether you're a physician's office or a hospital, you are generally targeting fee structures off of your commercial payers, knowing that you're going to have a significant loss, generally 40 to 60% loss on your Medicare and Medicare payers because of what you just saw as far as their allowance schedule. That's why you see our build volume in our monthly reports. You'll see generally our build is X.
Right.
Our
Collected.
collected is Y. They are not the same number. We're generally averaging about 44 to 45% collection rate, apples to apples versus gross and net. So
I'll make the motion to approve item number 15 as presented, going from the current rate to the suggested rate fee.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Court.
Thank you, Casey. Item number 16, discuss, approve, disapprove presentation of fiscal year 24 Karnes County Sheriff's Jail audit.
All right, Court. I've implemented this right after I started because I know any counties that have a jail, we're supposed to do a commissary audit and then provide the audit to the jail commission, which we already have, and they already acknowledged it. A couple of findings, there was a couple of the inmate checks that we submitted back to the inmates that were released that were not signed by the sheriff. Right now, he's the only signer. I'm going to get with the new sheriff-elect to maybe designate as chief deputy or someone to be a second signer. The money in the account at the end of the fiscal year was $27,769.34. That included inmate balances plus commissary profit. I'm going to get with Sheriff-elect Bailey because that $13,522.76 is profit from the phone commissions can be used at discretion of his for jail purposes and so forth. So I'll make sure that if he's not aware of the proper channels to spend those monies and so forth. There was a few outstanding checks that were over a year old. We gave the sheriff a letter, a template to send to those folks that got those checks and see if they want them reissued. If not, we have to remit those monies back to the state as stale checks as we do with the county treasurer's office. So this is standard procedure we do every year. Like I said, we have to send it to the jail commission.
I'll make the motion to approve item number 16 as presented.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Item number 17 is our consent agenda. We have reports from our district clerk, elections department, EMS, constable, precinct 3 and precinct 4. And we have a budget amendment 2025-02. That budget amendment is for the $1,000 employee appreciation expense.
Make motion to approve the consent agenda, including the budget amendment as presented.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Anybody opposed? Item number 18 is to discuss any items from the consent agenda to be considered and acted upon. Hearing none, we will move to item number 19, updates from our commissioners. Obviously, Commissioner Dupnick, this would have been his last meeting present, but he is in recovery, healing from his going on. So Commissioner Precinct 2.
Okay, so the Road and Bridge, I met with the citizen on 123 about an old abandoned road that was on a old deed,
They can't hear you.
which hasn't been used in probably a century, so we got that taken care of. We got Road and Bridge to fortify a bridge that is currently under design from Texas Highway Department, and going to stabilize that to keep it from deteriorating any further. Working with the landowner on County Road 396. So we met with the architects on the structural architects and engineers to begin evaluation of courthouse needs. Evaluating a new type of bridge on County Road 253. Contacted Intrepid about the survey of the property in Fall City, and working with the county attorney on, I think she's about got the contract ready for changes on it to get back with the DRG for the Precinct 2 Service Center. And I'd like to thank all of our county employees and wish everyone a merry and safe Christmas and holidays. That's it.
Commissioner Rosales.
Still working on County Road 362. We received a survey on it, so we have to meet with the landowners, and I have to get with the judge on a survey on that county road. We're doing regular road maintenance as usual, but working with some folks on a historical marker. We're paving County Road 311, 312, and 313, and we're still with the reconstruction of County Road 384 on Highway 80. I also want to thank all the county employees and wish them a Merry Christmas, and to everybody out there in Karnes County. Love you guys.
Commissioner Geisler.
So I had fielded quite a few calls on road signage being knocked down. And also, there's quite a bit of dumping still going on, and I would just caution whoever's doing it, just be careful, because there will be a dedicated attempt to track that down and stop that. County roads, 314 is being covered today, 335 and 336 are scheduled to be cement stabilized over the holidays. 331 is nearing completion of design completion. And I will echo what the other court member said, is I wish everybody happy holidays and a better new year.
Okay, item number 20, discuss acknowledgement of personnel changes. This is all departments that were current by the time that Elaine was able to put this list together. So we have a new hire in the tax office for a deputy clerk. This is her seasonal part-time clerk for her busy time of the year. We had a promotion / transfer, EMS paramedic, resignations / terminations. We had one of those in the EMS department and one of those in Sheriff's Office patrol deputy. No retirements. Currently hiring in the Karnes Wilson Juvenile Probation Department for attendance specialist, behavioral specialist, case manager, QMHP, HHSC admin is a part-time position, prevention specialist, and a ropes facilitator. Those are all within the Karnes Wilson Juvenile Probation Department. We need sheriff patrol deputies, obviously, and Sheriff's Department courthouse security. This report, like I said, is current as of December 16th. Item number 21 is payment of bills.
All right, Court, the bills were light again. The Total, it was modified. There was a couple stale checks that we wrote on the 10th, and they, for some reason, they pulled back into the packet. So they're not in the total that was originally given you. It decreased by $350. So the total is $545,392.62. The general fund portion is $275,000. And the big items of the general fund is the EMS architectural fees were $49,159.50, and the appraisal district, we paid the first quarter this time of the year to the appraisal district. That was $65,843.43. Road and bridge total was $250,443.66.
Also, another big one that I caught, that came out of capital outlay, was for building camera system
Yes, sir.
upgrades. We spent roughly almost $80,000, $79,915.49. And so Jimmy's been taking care of that. That's another big one there. That's the only other one that I saw that I wanted to bring attention to.
Well, thank you for Jimmy for coordinating that, because I believe you're right, Judge. Jimmy's running that show.
Yep. Good things coming.
I'll make the motion to approve the bills as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Item number 22, acknowledge Commissioners Court will meet on January 14th, 2025 at 9 o'clock in the morning here in the Karnes County Historic Courtroom at 101 North Pan Maria Avenue, Suite 200, Karnes City, Texas, 78118. Item number 23, need a motion to adjourn.
I forgot something. May I speak before we adjourn? Just, it'll take 1 minute.
Sure.
Thank you, Judge. I completely forgot, and I apologize. I forgot. I want to thank Sheriff Villanueva and Shelby Dubnik. Sheriff, we served a lot of years together. You gave the better part of your life to the county, I believe, since you were 18. You've been working here personally, and I know a lot of people appreciate you, all the service that you gave the county, the love you gave the county. I don't think in all the time that I've ever known you, and we've known each other since high school, it was since kids, I've never seen you mad. So you've always been real nice with people. You've always, hugged the people, kissed the babies and everything. You've been a fantastic, great sheriff, and I personally love you to death. And I hope whatever the future brings, I hope it's fantastic, but I want to let you know that I do appreciate everything that you did for the county, because your whole life poured into this county, and I really, really appreciate that, Sheriff. And also for Shelby Dubnik, the other commissioner, I remember I was on the court when he first came in. I thought he was a pain in the butt, honestly. He was a big pain in the butt, oh my God. Then I got to know him better in some of the conferences that we were in together. Then we kind of chugged a couple of beers together. And to be honest with you, he's one of the greatest commissioners I've known. He worked through being sick. He worked through all kinds of things. He took care of our emergency management coordinator for so many years. He saved the county not thousands, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars with the job that he did serving as two people. And he's just a great commissioner. I want to thank him. And if he's watching this, I personally love you, man. I thought you were pain in the butt first at all, man, but he was one of the best commissioners that I've ever known. And I know commissioners, judges all over the state, and I stay in contact with them. But Shelby gave beyond what he had to do as a commissioner on time for this county. So thank you, Sheriff Villanueva. Thank you, Shelby Dubnik, Commissioner Shelby Dubnik. Thank you for this time, Judge. I appreciate it, Judge.
Okay.
I also would like to thank Shelby and Sheriff Villanueva, that y'all served lots of time, gave a lot of your heart and soul to the county, and we appreciate it.
Okay, we're adjourned. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.